Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking about small onions, and that includes shallots, Cipolline onions, and pearl onions. These are what they say. They are small onions, and we want to store them in a cool, dry, dark place that has good air circulation. And if you can store them like that, they'll last for you for 1 to 2 months or so. When you cut them, of course, you want to store any unused pieces wrapped up in an airtight container in the refrigerator. And you want to use any cut pieces within 4 days if you possibly can. Now, looking at shallots, I have a shallot here. It's just a little tiny onion, and it is a variety actually of a storage onion. And they're very small, and they can be larger in size than the one that I have as well. It just depends upon the variety that was grown. And they are rather oblong, as you can see, rather than round like a yellow onion or a red onion. They're just kind of elongated. The colors can range from a copper, like this one is, to a gold, to a pale pink, and even red. After they're peeled, the interior has clusters of cloves in there divided into individually wrapped segments. Think of a garlic. It's very much like a garlic on the inside. Small shallots will average 2 or 3 cloves there, whereas the larger varieties may have up to 6 cloves within them. The flesh is semi-dry, off-white to translucent. It's firm and dense with light purple or red rings in there. Shallots are aromatic with a blend of spicy and sweet and pungent flavors as well. They're crisp, but not quite as strong in flavor as the yellow onions are. And the bulbs will usually keep for a month when they're stored in a cool, dry, dark place. Now, the flavor of shallots is pretty much like a typical onion flavor, but they're not as strong as the storage onions. They're mild and they're sweet, and they can be used anytime that you don't want an overpowering onion flavor in a dish. So raw shallots are crisp and astringent, but when they're cooked, they'll have a more delicate, sweet, and savory flavor similar to that of a garlic, or reminiscent to that of a garlic. So know that it may give you some garlic notes in there in addition to some oniony notes as well. Best uses for shallots: since they have a mild flavor, they can be used both in raw and cooked applications. They can be added raw to salads, added to bruschetta toppings, blended into sauces, guacamole, and even vinaigrette dressings. They can also be roasted and pickled, sautéed, cooked with meats or other vegetables, added to stews and blended into curries, baked into casseroles, added to stir fries and added to pasta, and sliced thin and just fry them. Shallots can be used in any cooking application that might call for any type of an onion. So they are interchangeable with other onions, but bear in note the little flavor differences there. Because they have notes of garlic in them, they can also be used as a substitute for garlic as well. And they pair well with beets, tomatoes, mushrooms, green beans, spinach, garlic, capers, meats, fish, cheeses, and a variety of herbs like parsley, thyme, rosemary, tarragon, and mint. Now, regarding the Cipolline onions, I have never seen one of those in grocery stores near me, so they may be more popular in Europe or other countries than the United States. If you live in the United States and you have seen these onions, let me know in the description or in the comments below. I'd like to know that. These onions are small, squatty little types of yellow onions. They're petite and squat, and they almost look like little saucers. They have a thin, papery skin that sticks to the flesh really tightly. But it's easy to remove the skin if you place them in boiling water for about 30 seconds. And then you transfer them to an ice water bath and the skin will come off easily that way. The flesh is firm and juicy and white, almost translucent. And those onions will keep for up to 2 months when they're stored in a cool, dry place. The flavor of Cipolline onions would be sweeter than that of the larger storage onions. When they're raw, they can have a mild aroma and a semi-sweet, pungent flavor. So they're not as strong as your yellow onions would be. When you cook Cipolline onions, they sweeten up and they soften to a very tender, almost melting texture. Regarding the best uses for Cipolline onions, they have a natural sweetness, so they're ideal for both raw and cooked applications. They can be roasted, baked, sauteed, and even pickled. They have a high sugar content, so it makes them great for caramelizing onions. You can add them whole to stews and roasts and casseroles, or you can chop them up and add them to mushroom tarts and pasta and potato salads and even make kebabs with them. Cipolline onions pair well with balsamic vinegar, mushrooms, chives, green onions, fennel, parsley, thyme, tomatoes, ricotta cheese, Parmesan cheese, potatoes, olives, red wine, and cured meats. The next type of an onion is a little pearl onion, and again, I didn't see any of these. I see them occasionally in the grocery store, but I didn't spot them when I was shopping for onions this round. The pearl onions are very small and they're sweet, and they average only 1 to 4 centimeters in diameter, so they are small. They're round with slightly pointed ends, and they can be found in red, white, and yellow varieties as well. The pearl onions have a thin, papery skin that flakes off pretty easily, and the flesh is firm, juicy, and crisp. Like the other onions, the skin can be removed from the whole onion by dunking it in some boiling water for 2 minutes and then quickly transfer it to an ice water bath and cut off the ends, and then you can pinch the flesh out of the skin pretty easily that way. Sometimes pearl onions can be found in the freezer section of many grocery stores, and in that case they're already peeled, which is nice. Regarding the flavor, pearl onions have a mild, savory, sweet, less pungent flavor than the full-size storage onions like your yellow onions or your red onions. Best uses for pearl onions are well suited for both raw and cooked applications. They can be creamed, roasted, pickled, and even glazed. We usually use the small bulbs whole because they are so small. They can be just thrown whole in stews and casseroles, braises, soups, and stocks. You can add them to meat and vegetable dishes, or you can even just serve them by themselves. They're a great option if you're preparing a skewered dish, for sure, because they would go well on the skewer with other vegetables and maybe meats as well. They pair well with parsley, basil, Dijon mustard, potatoes, green beans, peas, beets, turnips, tomatoes, paprika, red wine, mild flavored vinegars, meats, fish, and assorted cheeses. I do hope this helps you out. This is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. Bye for now.